All right, we'll see for the cinemas now, the West Africa, that's the markets in West Africa, that's the 2025 box office scorecard. We see that's out at this point, and we see good money, being made there, about 15.6 billion in gross revenue, and now that's a historic shift, at this point where we're seeing Nollywood actually matching up, when it comes to revenue. But behind the record-breaking numbers lies a complex business stories. We're seeing cinema tickets. I don't know if you bought cinema tickets recently, and they cost between 5,000 to about 6,000 naira at this point. But let's gauge the business so far. Joining me for this conversation, we have Okwe Ajayi, the CEO Cinemax, and convener Lagos Business of Film Summit. Joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you. Good morning.
Morning. Great to be here.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
So it seems, obviously, I don't know if Dirty December trickles into the cinemas.
It does.
It does, right? Okay, yeah, so we're seeing gains there. But with those gains, we're seeing ticket prices, going up, at this point. I remember there was a time I could buy a ticket for about 1.5, 2K, but that's changed, at this point.
I mean, it's the business is affected by same factors that affect every other business. So costs have gone up. So naturally, cinema tickets will go up. Average is about 5,000 thereabouts. So there are cinemas that tickets are still as low as 2,000 to 5, while some as high as 10,000, depending on location, depending on sometimes blockbuster pricing. Prices are generally higher over the December period anyway. So.
Right. So looking at the revenue so far in 2025, about 15.6 billion. At this point, who's making the money?
Well, so the money typically should go around the producers, the exhibitors, distributors, right? That is box office only. But yeah, there's December is a big period. Funke Akindele is probably getting close to 2.5 billion in box office. That's the highest we've ever seen. Her movie Behind the Scenes, Tony Abraham, is nearing $1 billion. So there's been quite some strong numbers. Ginger did 500 million in the middle of the year as well. And obviously, you also had Hollywood films like, what's the name of the film?
So many movies.
There's a strong Hollywood movie, I can't remember the name, did about 700 million sometime in April as well. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting year.
Right, I'm talking about Hollywood, Nollywood at this time. Normally it was, Hollywood movies would, get the chunk, of the market at this point. But it seems...
No, it's changed for
Nollywood is matching up.
Yeah, Nollywood has been matching up the last 3-4 years. It's been quite strong from Nollywood. Nollywood, you can even argue, has been the source of the growth over the last 3 to 4 years. Particularly post-COVID, Nollywood has come off quite strong, and that's a trend that is expected to continue for the next few years.
Right, and
till further notice.
And there's also a trend, right now. I'm seeing a lot of movies on YouTube, and I'm wondering, some say, okay, some of these movies should be in the cinema or not be in the cinema. Is that competition?
Well, I don't know that that's direct competition. I think YouTube has its market. I think that it's a strong market. And I think that there's nothing wrong with putting great quality films on YouTube. Because there's no barrier to entry, literally anything can be on YouTube. But there are very good movies on YouTube. And there's an entire economy on YouTube that is driving, a lot of growth in the industry.
So I'm wondering if I'm a producer at this point, I'm trying to figure out where to take my movie to, cinema, YouTube. Where am I getting more money?
So it depends. It depends, and from the beginning, you have to have a strategy on what you want to do. If you're taking a film to YouTube, the way you position it, the way you market it, even your casting, all of that makes a big difference. Films going to cinema usually require a lot more marketing, a lot more positioning, a lot more branding, bigger premieres. It's more of an event, right? So it's a bit different. They're all films, but the approach and the strategy is different.
All right, so looking at the revenue, all-time high, but we're just seeing 2.79 million admissions. So seems not matching up. Looking at West Africa.
Yes. So admissions are still not as great for a country the size of Nigeria. There's a lot that we can do, and while we continue to celebrate the growth in the industry, there's a lot more. 2.7 million admissions is not a lot for a country as big as this. Even for a state like Lagos State alone, it's not. I mean, it's not a lot, right? However, there's also still a bit of the overhang from COVID because we're near 5 million admissions pre-COVID. And this is not a Nigerian issue, this is a global issue. But I think that we're entering a phase of significant growth as well, both from people from an entirely new market who's, adopting the cinema culture all over again, to people who had stopped going to cinemas coming back, to Nollywood driving admissions to cinemas, right? So there's huge potential. And I think last year was first time seeing growth in both admissions and box office, right? And that has continued this year.
Right, and looking at some of these movies, definitely cost a buck to make a movie at this point. We keep talking about credits, cost of credits.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you're going to the banks, you're going to pay a lot, to get money there. Where's funding coming from nowadays?
I mean, there's a lot of funding is coming from private individuals, angel investing, but more and more structured investing is coming to the sector. Creative Catalyst financed the film that we did, co-financed the film that we did last year. It's Chapel Hill Denham. I know MBO Capital. I know a few banks are also now funding. So there's a lot more interest generally in the sector. And funding is not only for movies, it's across the value chain, infrastructure, distribution, and so on and so forth. So there's more interest in the sector because I think more and more people realize that there's a huge potential. Right, and so banks are now getting more interested.
Right, and I'm sure there's some investors sitting on the sideline and wondering, how do I get into, this industry? Where do I put the money? What do I stand to gain? At this point, what are you guys doing to educate, investors?
I mean, so we're doing a summit. That's one of the reasons we're doing a summit. There's a knowledge gap in the industry. We have a summit on 30th of January, Lagos Business of Film Summit, which is in Ikoyi. And one of the main things is also to provide more information about the industry, right? So they're going to be financiers, producers, distributors, investors, and the entire value chain, right? The whole point is we need to have conversations about how to scale the industry. We're growing about 30% a year, which is great, right? But we know that for a country the size of Nigeria, doing $10 million in box office is great, but compare that to India that does over $1 billion in box office, right? And even though India is bigger than us, 6 times bigger than the population, but there's a huge potential to scale this industry at a much faster rate. I mean, we should be talking $400–500 million over the next 5 years as an industry. That's what we think the potential is. Driven by a number of things. Number one is also the population, median population of 18. So in another 5–10 years, that age group will be 23, 28. They're in the work market. They can't be producing. They're consuming content. So we have everything required to scale the industry at a rate that we've never seen before.
Right, but at this point, what are we making? What are investors making at this point in the industry?
I mean, it's a bit mixed. It's a bit mixed.
50%?
There are people who've
100%?
There are people who've done 3 times, 4 times their money. There are people who've lost their money as well. Right? There are people who are waiting for an opening, maybe from streaming platforms. So it's a bit mixed. You can't really say that it's a one size thing. People have had different experiences, and because our business is also a creative business, right? Sometimes it's also subject to a bit of perception, right? It's a bit difficult to be able to sometimes say exactly what the outcome will be.
Right. Yeah. So definitely quite heartbreaking when you spend so much money and nobody wants to see your movie.
Well, it is, but it's also very rewarding when people finally see it and they love it.
And they love it. Your movie's trending everywhere.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah. Right, quite incredible. We'll keep tracking this industry. Thank you so much for coming on. Kwe Ajayi, CEO, Cinemax, convener, Lagos Business of Film Summit. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much.